We are now reminded to be aware of our place upon this earth and to fulfill our obligations to ourselves, our families, nations, the natural world, and to the Creator. The words say we are to awaken, stand up, be counted. For you are being recognized in the spirit world.
Most indigenous cultures in the world, we see the brothers and sisters are our trees and the animals and the earth around us. We are related to all of these. So how can we not claim each other as brothers and sisters, as human beings? Yeah. Many people in this world fight over the names of the gods and the names of creation. But there is no one name. The real name is all of the names. How is a name created? All human beings from around the world mimic the sounds of their environment to communicate to each other. Onomatopoeia. By mimicking those sounds, they could then create a language, and they created other sounds to join those sounds together. Now we have all these hundreds of thousands, millions of languages within the world. Each one of those languages in the world has stemmed from the environment of the people and of the sounds within that environment. Every single culture in the world knew of a higher being and still knows of a higher being. It didn't take one group to travel to every country to tell them about this higher being. We all knew this instinctively, and we all gave thanks to it. We all gave honor to it. The first time we ever sang in the world was to give praise to that higher being. The first time all our cultures ever danced was not to impress each other, was to the higher being in ceremony. So we all did these things to the higher being, whether we call it God, Buddha, Allah, Jukurba, doesn't matter. It is the life force of everything. We all know this. Now, then we start to change, we start to war today of a name of the Great Spirit. The name is this, the name is that. There is no one name. If there is only one name, there'd only be one environment, one language, one people, if there was one name. To say that that name is wrong is to say that environment should not be there. That people should not exist. That language should not have been created from that particular environment. Those sounds shouldn't exist, so therefore that should be desolate. I think that is the simplest way to think of it. If we break it down to the simplest forms, everything and everyone is a manifestation of everything around us. Our language, our thoughts, our foods, everything is manifested from her first, from our mother. In order to get back to her, back to the grassroots, we need to simplify things. Go back to the simplicity. What gives you the right to say the name of the Spirit in your language is also the same right that I have to give it in my language. I am an Aboriginal man, but I am human first. I am part of the human species before I am a cultural person. First I am human. And then we expand. And then we can expand to our beliefs and our behavior patterns and our foods and our totems and our language, our songs, our dances, our stories, our ceremonies. But first, we are human beings. And every single animal goes out of its way to maintain the survival of its species. So they have some form of symbiotic relationship with their own species. We, as human beings, have started to go forward. We started going backwards. Now we are going out of our way to destroy our own species because they look different, they speak different. I don't like the way that person looked at me. I don't like the way that person praises to the Great Spirit. I don't like the way they do their ceremony. But that's all our own stuff. All our own problems come from the within. But so too must our answers. Our answers must come from within as well. Not what you see on TV, not what you see around us on books and on radios and in magazines. These things are lied to us all of the time, as they do. A lot of the time these things are used to around us to get us to think a particular way and lean us into a particular way of thinking. But we all have a brain, we all have a heart. Inside we all know what is right and what is wrong. We don't have to read a book. You go out into the most desolate people in the middle of nowhere who don't read and write, they still have the laws of the heart still inside, which are the laws of all nations in the world, which is what is right and what is wrong. We don't have to be taught that. We know that already. When you learn to speak, you know what is right and what is wrong, without that having to be passed down to you. The animal species does that. The birds, the bees, every species knows what is right and what is wrong. It doesn't have to be written on a tablet or in a book or on the internet. Yeah. I think we need to look more at ourselves than look out there. If we see a problem, don't blame the man over there. Think of how we're looking at the situation. What is it that I don't like about that? Now, why don't I like it? Now, what can I choose to say, think, or do to change my own opinion rather than their opinion? Yeah. Too many people in the world try to change out there rather than changing what's inside. That's what's important. So your journey internally is the most important journey, not the journey outside. This is your reward when you travel outside for how far you travel inside. Yeah. Happiness is not just a state of mind, but a state of heart and a state of being. If you're happy with yourself and what you do and how you act and react around you, you'll die with a smile on your face. And it doesn't matter what anyone around you says or thinks around you. That's where true happiness is. It's inside there. Many people today think too much. Think about cause, think about effect. I have one thing to say. Think about where you would like your children to live, how you would like them to live in years to come. Make that your thought. If you would like them to be accepted, think about them and pass on that knowledge for them to accept everything else and everyone else out there. The start must come from inside, not out there. Change yourself individually, your way of thinking, the way of speaking, your way of acting, then help those around you and your family and your friends. It's mostly the biggest word, acceptance. We do not have to agree, we can simply agree to disagree. We don't have to war over it, we don't have to kill over it. We have to accept. If you can accept this is how I am, and what I like and what I believe and how I behave, then I should have the ability to accept the same for you, no matter what that is. That is a oneness. There's that oneness of acceptance. So I would say accept. That would be my number one.